to the two SUVs. Now, the three vehicles formed a convoy with the accused leading in his mother's car. The Jaguar also, they drove through the East Legon area. Now, during the proceedings at the family and juvenile court, the 16-year-old boy initially pleaded not guilty to all charges. The court remanded him into custody, addressing the conditions surrounding his remand and outlining specific directives for his custody and care. Salifo Mwako, his wife, Moha Amwako, and Linda Bonsu Prempeh, a sales assistant, were also arrested following the accident. The Accra Circuit Court granted Salifo Mwako and Moha Amwako a 50,000 Ghana cedis bail and with two sureties each. Linda Bonsu Prempeh, who allegedly provided the key to the vehicle involved in the accident, was also granted bail in the same amount with two sureties without justification. The three individuals have been charged with permitting an unlicensed person to drive, and all pleaded not guilty during their court appearance on Wednesday, 2024 in October. Still on this matter, meanwhile, the family of the deceased has conveyed mixed emotions in response to the sentencing of Bishop Salifo Mwako's son to 6 months at the Senior Corrections Center. Let's take a bite. We'll have a conversation after this.
Parents now back also they have depression or medications, only driving license for 60 years. Money can next of years. Let's just say when I was saying this in one point. I can't move. I can't drive without license. You what? I'm saying you speak around. Or driving unregistered vehicles, or driving without license. What on one of them? What's the apple and one chicken?
Yeah, sure, sir.
We'll bring you that back shortly, but we have been joined on the line by constitutional lawyer, lawyer Kwame Adolfo. Lawyer, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I mean, when this issue broke, people were thinking that maybe because the child or the accused involved is a minor, so perhaps the legal actions would slow. But finally, we have legal, I should say, verdict right now. But what legal principle guide the sentencing of minors in Ghana's court, particularly in this case, in terms of vehicular accidents?
Okay. Let me say good evening to you and your listeners and your viewers. Look, when an offender happens to be a juvenile, his situation is completely different from an adult. Now, we look at the date of the offense, how old the offender was. In this case, when the offense occurred or happened, he was clearly a juvenile, meaning he was underage. And therefore, the punishment that ordinarily will go to an adult doesn't apply to a juvenile. Now, in this case, again, let me say, because he changed his plea, initially he said he was not guilty, and then he changed the plea to guilty. Naturally, there would have been some conversation going on. There's something called plea deal. That, in other words, we say plea bargain. If you commit an offense and almost immediately you plead guilty, it means you have saved the country or the nation from otherwise an unnecessary expense that the state will go through in order to prove your guilt. Now, because again that the offender is a juvenile and also he has changed his plea to guilty, ordinarily, punishment that you give to somebody who has been recalcitrant doesn't apply. In this case, the highest penalty or punishment that you can give to him is what the judge gave to him. So I think it is fair, even though it is widely seen as very low offense punishment. I think that's what the law prescribes, and therefore we should all accept it and move forward.
So, lawyer, it means that the 6 months is the standard for sentencing for minors involved in such incidents, right?
You see, he was not charged with murder. He was charged with manslaughter. That is an accidental killing. He killed somebody by accident. That's what we call manslaughter. So even if he wasn't a minor, the chances are he was not going to go to prison for life because it was an accident killing. And in this case, because he's also a minor, the law protects minors because at the time that he committed the offense, he was not an adult. And also he was not charged with murder. He was charged with manslaughter. And therefore, that is the maximum penalty available for him. And I think we should all understand that even if, well, we should understand that we may not like the penalty or punishment, but that's what the law prescribes. And therefore, we just have to accept it unless and until the laws are changed by Parliament. That is all we can do. I mean, the judge can do.
Lawyer, again, we want to find out from you, how does the involvement of the parent in this case, Bishop Salifo Marko and his wife, come here? Because they were also fined 50,000 each with sureties. One would say, what's the impact of the legal proceedings, I mean, of this at all?
They say they aided and abetted the child to commit the offense. That is, if you assist or you help or you encourage someone to commit an offense, you will be charged with an offense. If you look at what they've done, they said there's one of them that was apparently gave a key to the child. She was also charged. So, in essence, they came in because the police saw them as having aided and abetted the young child to commit the offense. That is why they got arrested and they got fined. Ordinarily, when you commit an offense, they don't go and arrest your parents. No. Unless there is evidence that can show or establish that they supported you or they assisted you in the commission of the offense. So that's the distinction in this case. They were charged because the police formed the view that they assisted the child in getting access to the vehicle in the first place. And that's why they have also been being punished.
And once again, in this case, can the defense also argue for leniency based on the accuser's age, or perhaps are there any factors that the court could also consider?
Look, if you have been fined with a penalty of paying 500 penalty units, so you multiply that by 12 cities, it's a peanut compared to the offense, the gravity of the offense that you have committed, or you are alleged to have committed. In this case, I can't see them appealing the severity of the punishment or the sentence. I think they will accept it because somebody has lost her child, and if you are only being punished by being made to go and pay 6,000 cedis, I think you have got a better deal, and I can't see them wanting to appeal the severity of the sentence, because this was in fact the lower end of the scale that they were giving to them. So I think they should accept the penalty that has been imposed on them. 500 penalty units is only 6,000 cedis, which is nothing compared to somebody who has lost a child. And I think they should not even think or contemplate even appealing it.
Counsel, another perspective of this conversation is the fact that, you know, this was an unfortunate incident, yes, but after the verdict, I mean, psychologically and mentally, how does this law balance, or how does the law, let me just say, balance the interests of justice, rehabilitation, and punishment when sentencing minors in this case?
Well, you see, the laws are made by Parliament. Parliament has made the law for us to balance it, and this is what they have prescribed. So even though we may see it as unfair or unjust, there's not much the judge could have done because Parliament has passed the law. If we are unhappy The only cause available to us is to prevail on our parliamentarians and ask them to change the law. So in terms of the balancing act, I think it's a matter for the parliamentarians. They have to change the law and see that people are not really that happy that somebody has killed two people and is only going to prison for 6 months. But that is a matter for the parliamentarians, and I think we should all prevail on them and ask them to change the law.
Counsel, before I let you go finally, and finally, in this case like this, how does the court also consider the impact on victims? I mean, for instance, the legal avenues that exist for victims to seek restitution on justice?
You see, in some instances, they can even order you to compensate the victim. I've seen instances where the judge, in addition to putting you in prison, also ordered you to pay compensation. So some judges are able to do that. And in this case, the judge, maybe, I'm guessing here because I haven't seen the actual complete ruling, felt that he could not go any further than what the law prescribed. That's why he did not add or go further to order compensation to be paid to the parties. But maybe the family can also consider suing them civil action. As for civil action, they can bring action against Salifu Amankwa and his people for assisting their son to cause the death of their child. Maybe they should consider bringing a civil action against them. That's an option opens to them. The criminal matter has not been completed, but a civil action can start at any time. Hello? Hello?
Well, we apologize about that, but we're back once again. We were having a conversation on the back of the legal issue that transpired in court today about Salifu Mwako's child, who has been sentenced to 6 months. And we earlier had a conversation with legal practitioner, a constitutional lawyer as well, Lawyer Kwame Adofo, on the back of this. Lawyer, once again, thank you so much. But away from that, let's do more news. And the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jane Mensam, has reviewed the political parties who were responsible for the disruption of the parliamentary result collation process in 12 remaining constituencies. The Commission had previously ordered a recollation of results in these areas due to earlier disruption. To facilitate a smooth process, the recollation was moved to Police Training Center at Tessenham. The constituencies affected include Domit Kwabenya, Okankwe Central, Ablekuma North, Techiman South, Suhum, Akotiam, Fantiakwa North, Ahafo Ano North, and Tema Central. During the press conference on Thursday, December 19, 2024, Jane Mensah explained that the interference from political parties had prevented a commission from continuing the collation process for the remaining constituencies. She further added that the parliamentary results for Ablekuma North and Okankwe Central will not be accepted.
Disrupted and taken over by political party leaders and supporters, and the results declared for both constituencies without due process being followed. In the case of Okankwe Central, a winner was declared without collating results from 31 polling stations. In the case of the Ablekuma North constituencies, a winner was declared without collating results from 62 polling stations. This is unacceptable. It is important to note that the declarations made by our staff were made under threat, and the Commission considers this as illegal. Those declarations, as well as others that have gone on in other constituencies, will not be upheld by the Commission. Again, disrupted and taken over by political party leaders and support.
Well, that was the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jane Mensah. But let's take a look at the constituencies whose results have been declared as illegal by the EC. And just as you see displayed on your screen, so Dome Kwabenya, there, Okankwe Central, Ablekuma North, Tema Central. So in Dome Kwabenya, we saw Elik Plim Akurugu of the National Democratic Congress battle it out with the New Patriotic Party. That's the candidate over the Mike Okwe Jr. The results announced after a tightly contested election showed Akurugu securing 51,634 votes, narrowly defeating the NPP candidate Mike Okwe Jr., who also garnered 50,477 votes. But Mike Okwe Jr. rejected the results and also called for a recollation. He claimed that mob action disrupted the proper management of the electoral process over there. So in Okwankwe Central, Abdullahi Abu Baba Sadiq secured 15,353, and Patrick Yabuama also received or secured, let's just say, 14,949 votes. But there still was contention over there, and it looks like it's going into legal terms. And so let's also once again pay focus on what they display on your screens about some of the parliamentary results, or I should say the constituencies that are very much in contention right now. As I said earlier, Dome Kwabenya, Okankwe Central, Ablekuma North, which unfortunately some 2 days ago we saw some fire escalation at a school over there that's near the La Paz Community School, and it was not so convenient for students over there. They would have to now resort sitting back at home until further, I should say, proper, information are given to them. They were writing exams or about to sit for their exams, and where the papers or ballot papers have been kept in the library of the school was burnt. So Ahafo not also in there, but Ahafo Southwest also was there, Obuasi East to Chiman South, and Sawam Adwedri also in the news some past days ago. But away from that, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jane Mensah, has also appealed to President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President-elect John Dramani Mahama, and the National Election Security Task Force to intervene in the constituencies where results have been deemed incomplete. Let's take a bite at that, and we continue after this.
We therefore use this occasion to humbly call on the President of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, as well as our President-elect, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, to intervene in this matter so as to ensure that the Commission is provided with the necessary security and protection to carry out its functions. We also call on the National Election Security Task Force to come together to put in place arrangements to ensure that our staff and our processes are protected and secured in a way that will ensure that the true outcomes of our processes reflect the will of the people as expressed on the pink sheets. We conclude.
And the Member of Parliament for South Dai, Roxy Nelson Dafiamepo, has expressed grave concerns over the conduct of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jane Mensah, describing it as a danger to the country's democracy. Speaking to the media, the legislator pointed out the recent action by the EC to have contested parliamentary results recollated despite the declaration of same is in contravention of CI 127. Let's take a listen.
After the declaration of the results, for the Electoral Commission to do what it is doing. In fact, Jane Mensah has become a danger to our democracy, because you see, she cannot be a law unto itself. The Electoral Commission is subject to the Constitution, and subject to regulation CI 127. CI 127 is very clear that where results are declared, it is not up to the Electoral Commission or the electoral commissioners to decide to ignore, to validate or not validate that declaration, because the declaration is in pursuance of CI 127. The Constitution is very clear in Article 99, Clause 1, Paragraph A, thereabout, that where a person is aggrieved or there is a challenge in respect of whether or not the parliamentary seat or election to a parliamentary a member of parliament is in doubt, the High Court stays with the original jurisdiction in this matter. So where parliamentary results of parliamentary elections are in doubt in some respective constituencies, any person aggrieved with the declaration conducted by officials of the EC.
Let's have a conversation on the back of this, and join us on phone to have a conversation is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gbande. Mustafa, if you can hear me, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, thanks also. So the EC has stated that the parliamentary results for Blekumu North and Okankwe Central will not be accepted. In fact, it says that it has invalidated these results. What do you make of this, given that those seats had been won or declared by your MPs?
Well, good evening. I think that basically it's an afterthought, criminal mentality, an attempt to perpetuate illegality as far as the election we have conducted 2024 is concerned. Basically, we all know that by CI 127 Regulation 43, it is impossible to do recollation of results. And the Electoral Commission knows that. Number two, in the cases where an election result has been declared and parties dispute, the right forum is to go to court. As we speak, the Interior Minister, Henry Quartey, and some functionaries of the MPP are busy plotting and planning, queuing to get the support of the military to protect the EC in such a criminal scheme. Now, we need Ghana to be peaceful. If you go to Sablugu, even though the MPP won, our party over there had issues with the declaration. What we have told them is to go to court. On the strength of EC's own precedent, 2020, where in Techiman South, we had a cause to call for recollation. The EC told all of us that you go to court. What has changed? The inconsistency on her part is enough to demonstrate incompetence, classical incompetence, and doing everything possible to render this nation chaotic. I am daring President Akufo-Addo and daring the Electoral Commission. They should try the recollation. They will do it in the sky. And I'm advising the MPP. They have lost. If they have any basis to dispute the results that have been declared, they should go to court. The mere rhetoric of allegations, litany of same without basis, that EC officers were at gunpoint, is an imagination of delusion. It's a lie, barefaced, without any fact. In Tema Central, I was there personally. I visited the place. The Greater Accra Regional Minister, my good brother Titus Glover, was present. The former Greater Accra Regional Minister, Honorable Nilaye Afutiagbo of the NDC, was present at it. So these are the faces that you can put to that declaration. All of them were present. They actually did it within the yard of the Regional Police Command. If there were any persons who introduced guns, weapons, lethality to the 2024 election, it was the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, supported by his former ADC, Anguna, the Army Commander. He deployed Army and Rifles into the election. In in Obuasi East. I was there when the outgoing MP doctor signed his form, accepted the defeat. Same was declared in the presence of the police and all the MPP people. What is he talking about, gunpoint? If it is a criminal enterprise and they want to try the NDC, if they try it, they will regret it. As far as I'm concerned, they can
Mustafa, in this case, are you saying that should the EC try to do a recollation, the NDC will resort to legal costs or push this for a rerun of the election? Or
we will do everything possible. That recollation will occur in the sky, not on the land. And I want to advise the NPP, they cannot reconstitute noise and pestilence to disturb the democracy and the rule of law. They know what exactly to do. They know that if you lose an election and you have a case, you go to court. We can face places that we haven't declared, places where declaration was not made. We can deal with those constituencies. But if a constituency has been declared, I can assure Jane Mensah that she is trying her best luck, but it will fail and return fatal injuries to herself as an individual.
Is there a threat to her?
No, I'm just telling her what we have. I'm having today here holding WhatsApp conversation as intelligence of MPP big men, planning on how to use violence to get the Electoral Commission to declare. They can mobilize the entire Ghana Armed Forces to one place to try and declare the election. It will work. Same will be confronted. Same will be attacked with the alacrity it deserves. They should try the patience of the people of Ghana. You see, they tried and they lost. Now they have 38%. It has never happened in the history of our election for a presidential candidate to get 38%, particularly being in government. They have lost from 137. We have made it up to 188. We are heading to 190. They should continue fooling and not reflect. What they are doing is simply a criminal enterprise. Now, this election was characterized by fake pink sheets, fake ballot papers, and all sorts of things. Who caused it? The government. They had a criminal rigging machine that was crashed by vigilance. They haven't learned anything. Look, if you don't agree with the election results, they should peacefully head to court. But right now, you know who is in court? The NDC is in court. Because we want peace. We don't want to be seen to be violent. Because we are in power. Look, we control power. We are in charge. They will not become a disturbance to the democracy and the rule of law. And I will strictly advise that they go to court. Any attempt to reconvene or recollation will not be allowed to stand. I can assure the NPP.
Well, on that note, earlier,
Mustafa, who for the first time, the first interior minister to lose election abysmally, is behind this plot of trying to get the military, trying to mobilize force to reconvene for recollation. I can assure him that we'll meet him on the road. It will be a showdown. Let them try it. Let them try to reconvene to do an illegal coalition. As far as the law is on our side, we will ensure that we protect the democracy. We will ensure that the rule of law is up and working. We will ensure that no one undermines the laws of this country. If you don't agree with declared election results, you go to court. Let the court decide otherwise. It does not lie in the capacity and mouth of the Electoral Commission to do makeups and go and sit in front of cameras and begin to put all of us under this kind of stress. He doesn't find space in law. The law is not Jane Mensah. The law made her. She cannot be the law. And that she shouldn't arrogate to herself powers she does not have, authority she does not have, and what the law does not translate. The law has never stated, according to CI 127 Regulation 43, that if you do a coalition and you have declared results, you can use prerogative authority to, overturn, accept or not accept, and go and do recollation. It is not her place to do that. I don't understand why He just wants to try the patience of the people of Ghana.
Well, now she's also seeking for, I should say, an appeal from the president-elect and the outgoing president for security, so these proceedings could continue. Are you not going to allow your president, John Mahama, to agree on this for the procedure?
Why? John Mahama had one vote. The number of people who have voted will ensure that their vote is accounted. President Akufo-Addo had the whole army and the whole government machinery. They lost the election. What can he do now that he is not the one in charge? It's a fallacy. It will be resisted. President Mahama cannot provide security for a criminal enterprise to be perpetuated against the people of Ghana. He will not do that. And I'm saying that President Akufo-Addo himself knows that he doesn't have that capacity to provide security for an illegality to be perpetuated. The people of Ghana will be mobilized to dismantle, to resist, and to ensure that these criminal attempts to change, manipulate, influence the legitimately declared election will stand and same will be protected, I can assure you.
Mustafa, finally, before we take leave of you, should the AC once again announce for a rerun, are you going to see your parliamentary candidate contest again?
She's not a court. She doesn't have the capacity to announce rerun. She's not a court. She doesn't have that power. She doesn't have that power. Election has been declared. So she's migrating from recoalition to rerun. Is that not inconsistency? The only institution clothed with authority to peruse the evidence and define appropriate actions is a court. That is where each individual, as far as the election is concerned, has their right to redress, not the Electoral Commission, not a woman who is in bed with the MPP, not a woman who have done everything to rig the election in favor of the MPP, not a woman who is at best the Jezebel of our time and our generation, trying everything possible.
Well, Mustafa, now it looks like it's getting personal on this.
That is the exact description of Jimensa. I don't think she's well. I don't think that she understands what she's doing.
I mean, Mustafa, this is quite personal. We want to not associate ourselves with this, but that's on your opinion, but that's okay. But thanks once again for having us. for having you on this conversation. We'll get back to you as and when there are other matters arising. Thanks you once again, Mustafa Gbande. We have been speaking absolutely. We have been speaking to Mustafa Gbande. He is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Away from that, President-elect John Dramani Mahama has raised alarms about the critical state of Ghana's energy sector, emphasizing the urgent need for comprehensive reforms. Speaking during a courtesy call on him by the Canadian High Commissioner to Ghana, Miriam Montrat, in Accra on Friday, Mahama highlighted the sector's precarious situation and potential risk it poses to the nation's economy. He criticized the current administration's portrayal of economic recovery, pointing out the significant debt burden that remains unresolved. He also warned that the unresolved debt could undermine any progress made, suggesting that the current government's optimistic economic narrative is misleading.
And yet, they've driven all the upstream people out. He and I went and took refuge in Cote d'Ivoire. ExxonMobil exited. The Hess field, which became Acar, has been lying redundant for so many years. Tullow have new discoveries. They need encouragement to be able to pump. They've gone into arbitration with them over tax and all. It's just created a mess. And so gas production has gone down. And so we're having to use more light crude oil. And that makes electricity production more expensive. And so if you chose that option, then at least pay the IPPs for producing. And yet they're not paying them. And so the debt on that area has ballooned. The energy sector needs urgent surgery. Urgent surgery. Otherwise, it can collapse everything. And so when the Minister of Finance says the economy is turning around, you have a 2.5 billion debt. Your bailout is only 3 billion. And so 2.5 billion debt sitting and breathing, and you say the economy is turning around, that alone can crash everything that has been done. And so they want to create a more upbeat, story about their economic management before they leave office. But like I said, we're going to open the books when we come and let Ghanaians know what the true situation is. Because if Ghanaians understand what the true situation is.
Well, still on President-elect John Dramani Mahama, he has reassured that his administration's Operations Recover or Loot Oral initiative is not a witch hunt, but rather a concrete effort to tackle corruption. He explained that Oral is designed to other evidence to aid the prosecution of corrupt officials by designated state institutions to ensure accountability and restore public trust, and form part of his administration's broader commitment to transparency and good governance. Mr. Mahama said the Oral Preparatory Committee, which has been set to solely to receive evidence, was not going to replace established state institutions with a mandate to investigate other prosecute crimes, and would therefore hand over the evidence it gathers to the relevant authorities for investigation and prosecutions.
Oral, Operation Recover All the Loot. I announced the preparatory committee, and I think people are misunderstanding it. We're receiving a lot of information on things that are going wrong, or things, corruption scandals and all that. Some send me texts on my phone, some call me, others pass through other people. We want a focal point where all that evidence is directed, and so that they can assemble that evidence. And once we come into office, Oral is not going to be investigating people. It's going to gather the evidence and pass on that evidence to the government institutions that are supposed to do that kind of work. And so we just want that if people have any information that they think is useful in the fight against corruption, pass it on to this team. That's what the team is about. And they are all doing that service pro bono. They are not expecting any payment. There's no expenditure or budget associated with the task that they are carrying out. And so that's the explanation for it. Yeah. And so I don't think that people should think that it's a witch hunting committee.
Yeah.
We have no brooms to fly at night. So I can assure people that it's not meant to witch hunt.
Away from the president-elect, the NPP New Patriotic Party presidential candidate for the just ended 2024 presidential election, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has stated that the party aims to unravel the reasons behind the low election turnout. According to him, the party's defeat can be traced to low turnout and other factors, including key media houses not aligning with the party. He asserted that over 2.1 million supporters of the party refused to vote. Speaking to party communicators during a courtesy call on him, he assured them that the challenges has been identified and the leadership aims to address the issue in the forthcoming elections.
It was a big disappointment. There's no doubt about it when the results came. Why was it a disappointment? Because all the work we had done was pointing to the fact that we would win this election. There was, clear evidence on the ground as we went to all the 276 constituencies. It was clear that, we were going to do well. But on the day of the election, something was amiss. Turnout was so low, and everybody was wondering what was happening. Why? Where are people? And that was from Axim all the way to Zebla. The whole country. What is going on? No, where are people? It turned out that.
Away from that, let's move to Parliament, and the Deputy Majority Chief Whip Habib Idrisu has confirmed that the Finance Minister will be presenting the 2024 Appropriation Bill before Parliament tomorrow. This follows after the Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam failed to appear before the Parliament for a third consecutive time, addressing concerns raised by some members of Parliament over the Finance Minister's absence. Honourable Idrisu assured the House that all necessary arrangements had been made for representation tomorrow.
From January to March 2025, it's an important document. The Finance Minister ought to do that on behalf of the President. The Finance Minister have given indication that he's ready to do that, but he's unavailable, absent at the moment. So tomorrow it can be laid and taken, but for us to say that a different minister should do that. This is very important document. Without authorization, neither does he have any indication to do so. So, Mr. Speaker, like the minority leader rightly said, we don't have any difficulty in doing the 3 motions from the Public Accounts Committee. Then after that, we call it a day, and tomorrow we could be able to look at the appropriation from January to March. It won't be anything, any difficult tax.
Still in Parliament, Minority Leader Dr. Kazel Ataforson has issued a stern warning to Finance Minister Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, insisting that failure to present the government's mini-budget to Parliament could result in legal persecution.
I also want to convey to the Minister and His Excellency the President that the Constitution places an obligation on the President to present to this House before the year ends expenditure in advance of appropriation for the first 3 months of the year 2025. And this is Article 80. Mr. Speaker, aside that, the PFM Act, the Public Financial Management Act, places a responsibility on the Finance Minister to act on behalf of the President to present the estimate before us. And there are severe penalties for not doing it. There are severe penalties for not doing it, including a jail term. Severe penalties. So I just want to caution those in office to be aware.
Let's go for a break. We're back with some business news. Do stay. And in business, the minority in Parliament has accused the government of engaging in corruption over its decision to outsource the operation of the newly commissioned $147 million e-gate system at the Kotoka International Airport to private entity. Speaking to journalists in Accra on December 18, 2024, Minority Chief Whip Kwame Gavins Agboja described the deal as a classic case of create, loot and share, questioning the rationale behind the agreement. He alleged that officials at the Bank of Ghana were already working to open an account on behalf of the Ghana Immigration Service to facilitate the collection of funds related to e-gate system. He described the move as illegal, citing the absence of value for money, audits and undue haste by the Ministry of Finance and GIS. And to sign the agreement, Mr. Agboja also cautioned civil servants involved in the process.
The Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, actually looked on when an entity in this country actually proposed that the e-gate alone will be $200 million. E-gate in an airport that cost $250 million was supposed to be done for $200 million. That amount has been revised to $140 million, and today we are told that is still around $147 million. What will be the reason, justification for this? And as I speak to you, Ministry of Finance and Ghana Immigration Service are in a rush to activate this and allow a private entity to fleece the people of this country, because there's an opportunity to charge, according to them, $5 per passenger to take this money. And actually, when they are even in opposition, they will be making money out of this. Why on earth would a whole airport cost $250 million to build? And you will be trying to get into an agreement with an entity to run an e-gate service for almost $147 million. This can be at the peak of create, loot, and share. And everybody involved in this. I know that this, when they went through the scenarios to, the VFM and other things, as we speak, the VFM...
That's all for business, but let's do some more local news. And the West African Examination Council, WAEC, has bemoaned the delays in the release of the West African Senior High School Certificate Examination WASSCE results, citing financial challenges as a primary cause. John Kapi, the head of public affairs of WAEC, explained that the results remain unavailable due to unresolved financial obligations owed two technicians responsible for maintaining critical equipment needed for the examination process, quoting, "The results are not ready. We issued a statement earlier highlighting some of the challenges we are currently facing. Unfortunately, these challenges persist because we have not been able to secure the necessary funds to address them," he said. Now, per the calendar, today is the date for the release of the results. And unfortunately, also today we were told that the member of, the Education Minister was supposed to appear before Parliament today, but unfortunately he didn't. We have been joined on the line by Irene Sam. She is the Public Relations Officer for National Council for PTA. Irene, if you can hear me, good evening.
Good evening, my dear.
So first of all, I just want to ask you, has the PTA been in communication with the Ministry of Education or WAEC to also address this issue? And if so, what has been the outcome of those discussions?
Let me say a grateful evening to your cherished viewers and listeners as well. And I'm so grateful for you having me here this evening. You know, these issues have come up as a result of the indebtedness, from the ministry side. And we know that this kind of thing has also come about because of the commitment the government has to do in terms of the payment of examination fees, which government says have covered it because it's part of the free senior high school policy. Now, we have envisaged this issue for some time now. You know, once upon a time, during the BECE, WAEC will say that we don't have money for this. Then they release a token for them to start up. Then there's WASI, and then WASI have completed. And then we're expecting that even today we should have the result. And then here is the case of the issue of indebtedness due to the Ministry of Education. So we as a council, we are not so happy about it. And we have made pleas to the ministry to make sure that whatever amount that they need to give to the WAEC is released onto them. They should do the needful. They cannot keep us in ransom. They cannot keep us in this kind of disturbing situation. We are fed up, and then we want them to do the needful, all in the interest of our wards. We never bargain for this. We never bargain for this as parents. So we are pleading the ministry to do the needful and release the money so that WAEC can also do their job, and then we can also have the result of our wards released so that we can also further the education thereof.
Irene, would you say that the ministry has attached or hasn't attached any seriousness to, or urgency to this issue?
Yes, we are not seeing that kind of urgency yet, but with this, we are calling on them to see this issue as an urgent one, because where did we even get to this place? How come that results of our wards are not being released because of money that ministry have to release to WAEC? This kind of issues, shouldn't be an issue at all. We should be talking about this at this time of the day, So we are just bringing the ministry to do the needful so that our wards can have their result released to them, because parents are anxious. They want to repair their wards as they go for further education. So we are pleading with them. They should do the needful for us. We didn't bargain for any of these things, so they should do the needful. ASAP, we need it so fast and so prompt.
Just as you say that parents are, agitated in this conversation, how concerned are parents? I just want to find out from you, from the potential impact of this delay on students' ability to also proceed with their university applications and other scholarship. Has the PTA also received any direct complaints from parents?
Exactly, yes. Parents know, we all know that normally results are released in December. Before this time, it should release. The parents can prepare while there was, assume further education. So if you have gotten this kind of, a message coming from WAEC, giving us the reasons why results cannot be released at this time, it's a worry to us. We are not so happy about it. It's so disturbing, it's so alarming. And what the ministry did needful for our results released onto us.
Irene, but finally, before I let you go, what is the leadership going to do in this case?
Yes, we are going to put up a communique and then send it to the ministry thereof. After this, whatever, we also put our plans together so that we meet the ministry in this regard. But we are also calling on the next government which is about to take over that this kind of thing shouldn't be repeated. If there are issues that we have to resolve, it should be resolved amicably. that some of these things shouldn't recur. We don't want this thing to recur in the next government. So we are putting the next government also to also be aware of some of these issues. So as you have said, you're going to put up a communique and then reach out to the ministry and see the matter being resolved for us as soon as practicable.
Irene, thank you so much for your time this evening. Irene Sam is the Public Relations Officer for the National Council for PTA. We'll be following this matter very keenly, and we're told that tomorrow, hopefully, the Education Minister will appear before Parliament. But let's do some sports news after this. Do stay. And in sports, Morocco has been crowned Africa's best football nations in the final FIFA ranking for 2024, despite dropping 2 places globally to 14. The Atlas Lions maintained their status as the continent's top team, capping off a challenging year that saw them exist in the Total Energy CAF Africa Cup of Nations AFCON at the round of 16 stage. Now, Senegal follows closely as Africa's second best side, retaining their position as the 17th best team globally. Egypt, Algeria and Nigeria round out Africa's top 5, with Egypt rising 3 places to 33rd in the world. The biggest story of the ranking, however, is Angola's rise, and Palacas Negres surged with 32 place to 85th globally, marking them the most improved team in the world this year. Now, their climb is attributed to strong international performance and improvement in the domestic football system. Other notable movements saw Algeria rise to 37th globally after a 6th place improvement, while Tunisia and Cote d'Ivoire experienced setbacks. Tunisia dropped 12 places and 52nd, and the Elephant of Le Cote d'Ivoire fell to 46th, losing 7 spots. Cameroon managed to stay within the global top 50 at the 49th, while Mali 51st and South Africa 57 complete Africa's top 10. The Democratic Republic of Congo with 61st and Burkina Faso 67th remain in the edge of Africa's elite. Well, Ghana unfortunately is also 77, as you can see over there. Let's do some international updates. Russian President Vladimir Putin says he is ready to engage in talks with U.S. President-elect Donald Trump on a possible compromise to end the Ukrainian war. Speaking during a televised question-and-answer session, Putin stated that Russia is prepared for negotiations, but emphasized that Kiev must also be open to compromise. Putin declared that Russian forces are advancing towards achieving their key objectives in Ukraine, claiming that soon there will be no one left who wants to fight on the Ukraine side. Now, the Russian president also hinted at another missile strike to Ukraine using the Oreshnik hypersonic missile, challenging Western air defense system to also intercept it. Now, Putin also expressed willingness to discuss the fate of missing American journalist Austin Tice, who was abducted in Syria in 2012 with Syrian officials. Meanwhile, Putin dismissed speculations about Russia's spawning influence in the Middle East, stating that Moscow's military bases in Syria remain significant and discussions are ongoing regarding their future. Let's wrap up the bulletin with some entertainment updates. And in entertainment, Kenyan reggae and dancehall sensation Stonebwoy has officially announced Nigerian Afrobeat superstar Davido as the super special guest for the 2024 Beam Festival. The announcement made via Stonebwoy's social media platform featured a captivating video of the two artists together, sparking excitement among fans across Africa. This year's Beam Festival is slated for December 22, 2024 at the La Palm Royal Beach Hotel in Accra, with two of Africa's biggest music icons on stage. Fans are eagerly anticipating an unforgettable night of music, energy, and show-stopping performances.
Yo, what up, my people? It's your boy Davido, and I will be live with my brother at the BIM Beach Festival, 22nd December. Shut down. I can't wait to see you guys.
Crazy. La Palma Royal Beach is right there. Get your tickets.
Shut down. Badass.
Well, I bet this festive season, if you don't know where to go, these news we're giving to you in terms of entertainment, you should know where to go. Well, I'm sure it would have to be at BIM concert, because why not? Anyway, before we take leave of you, let's do a recap of our top stories this evening. And the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jane Mensah, has revealed the political parties were responsible for the disruption of the parliamentary results collation process in 12 remaining constituencies. We brought you a report on that, where Deputy Director of Elections also spoke on that. Also, the 16-year-old son of Bishop Salifo Mwako has been sentenced to 6 months at Senior Correctional Center after he pleaded guilty to 8 of the charges against him. Also, the ranking member of Education Committee in Parliament has raised concerns about the release of funds to WAEC, which has delayed the release of WASSCE results. And in business, we brought you where the minority in Parliament has accused the government of engaging in corruption surrounding the newly commissioned e-gate system at Kotoka International Airport. On the international front, Russian President